Serious business, and this speaks to some of what the developments that came out of the State of the Nation address and also the Finance Minister's budget speech will impact on the public service. Now, measures have been introduced by Finance Minister Tito Mboweni to reduce the public sector's massive wage bill by 27 billion rand over 3 years. Now, in Parliament on Wednesday, the minister said that this will include offering early retrenchment packages to public servants 55 years old and up. And this is estimated to include about 30,000 people. And in addition to this, he said that performance bonuses, which totals about 2 billion rand a year, will also be phased out. And all of this as the Department of Public Service and Administration is battling with unions over wage increment of personnel. And to discuss this matter further, we're joined here in studio by Ayanda Dlodlo, who's the Minister of Public Service and Administration. Welcome, Minister.
Thank you. Good morning.
I want to start here. The 30,000 people in the public service. Now, this is a number that has been floating around for some time. And when this was first put out in the public domain, government vehemently denied that this was going to happen. But we see it's back now.
We deny that we're retrenching. And I think even your caption is also not correct. We're not retrenching anybody. What has happened over time is that people have approached us, and lots of people in the public service have approached us wanting to retire early. Not retrenchment. No, we're not retrenching because we're also trying to ensure that we bring in younger people into the establishment. So it's an early retirement that bears no penalties. So anybody who's between the age of 55 and the age of 60, if they retire early, they do pay the penalties that go with that. So in this case, we're saying we're giving people the leeway. If they want to leave, they can leave. They can leave without attracting any penalties on their pensions between the ages of 55 and 60. We have about 127,000 of those people in the public service. But because we have vehemently denied over time, and we still stick to that, even Minister Mboweni as well said this himself, that we are not a bloated public service. The wage bill, though, is bloated. And that's what we're trying to address. If you would have listened very carefully to the budget vote, you would have realized that we really are in trouble. And at some point, we really need to hold the bull by the cudgels and deal with matters. Rather than dealing with them piecemeal, let's deal with them so that we're able to ensure that we reduce the wage bill and at the same time open up space for younger people to come into the establishment. But also, because the wage ceiling is so high in departments, it becomes difficult in a lot of instances because departments would have reached the ceiling with regards to the wage expenditure, that it will then make it a little lighter for them. They'll be able then to fill the vacancies that have sat unfilled for many years in government.
And then, Minister, we're talking about this wage bill that you're trying to reduce by 27 billion rand over a 3-year period. But if we look at the overall picture as a percentage of expenditure, overall government expenditure, the government wage bill is 35% of that 1.8 billion expenditure. That is massively high.
Well, it's the second highest expenditure budget item. And it has to worry us. It has to worry us in the face of what we're facing with regards to a young population that has no hope of finding employment. The private sector is not creating jobs. The public sector is not creating jobs. So we need to find innovative ways and creative ways of ensuring that we bring young people into the establishment. That does not mean we will reduce. Currently, we have almost 1.3 million employees. And we're saying we are not bloated. We need those people, but we need to reskill. Government is moving towards a particular direction of the fourth industrial revolution and many other things. We need to improve service delivery. We need to bring in a new culture, introduce a new culture in the organization. You can't introduce a new culture with people that have been in the establishment for too long. If you mix the young and the old in the establishment, you'll see a difference in terms of service delivery. It can only be good for our people.
And it's interesting you should say that because South Africa has the third most unproductive public service in the world, in the entire world.
Which is bad. And we're looking at training programs to support those that we're bringing into government. We're talking to quite a number of institutions. We're talking to quite a number of countries. As we speak, we are looking at The London School of Economics will be having discussions with them. For the management level, we're looking at China. We're looking at many countries to assist in identifying programs and courses that will bring people on par to ensure that they are as productive as other countries are.
Have you identified any particular model that you can use to bring about the sort of transformation that you wish to see?
Well, we are in the process of establishing a new white paper on public service and administration reform. We are looking at, we've issued directives on the employment of young people and ensuring that we do away with the requirement of 2 years experience for people who do not have the experience in entry-level jobs. And it's not all jobs, but it is the bulk of the jobs in government. So we are introducing reforms that would attract the type of skills that we want, but also the type of attitude that certain individuals would possess that would be good for government.
There is also a dire need for modernization of the South African public service.
That's part of the white paper process. It looks at modernization.
And in that regard, you spoke about maybe people who've been in the system too long, the systems at a mechanical level themselves perhaps not being up to scratch with regard to where we find ourselves at. So how much is that going to cost?
Well, the president has asked us to look at a new, for lack of a better word, service execution model, because we have realized that the old is no longer applicable. It does not give us the type of results that are required. You will see that in the number of service delivery protests that we have, the queries that we get from time to time on all platforms. So that in itself speaks to problems in the system with regards to the service delivery model. So we are looking at ways of turning that around to be in line and in sync with a new funding model, which would also take into account training, mentoring, and a new performance management system that would ensure that people excel in the way that they perform their duties.
One of the areas where the public service seems to fall completely flat, in total contrast with the Batupili principle, is that public servants simply don't seem to care. They don't seem to share the vision that the government has of delivering quality service to the public.
Well, that's as a result of quite a number of things. Managers must learn to measure, assess, and monitor performance. Provide the necessary tools for people that report to them to ensure that they improve on performance. I can tell you it's a tall order. It's very difficult, even with regards to discipline. If you can see the number of cases that we have that have gone unresolved over time, if you look at the sanctions that are meted out for serious misconduct, you would think that we're not serious about dealing with issues of discipline, dealing with issues of performance in the public service. So actually the blame really falls squarely on supervisors to ensure that they do their work as well. But at the end of it all, I think we'll be able to make it.
And then, Minister,
the will is there.
Well, you know what they say about good intentions and the will we are told about, but we don't see. In the end, when we go to a counter to pay a municipal account and people behave as though they're doing you a favor.
I know. Those are the things that we're looking at. I have introduced what has been a public outcry, but with some people, it has been a welcome relief. You will know what type of individual you want to attract into the system, having identified what your weaknesses are and what the problem areas are. I would know who it is, the type of aptitude and attitude that person possesses that I would want into the system. People that are going to kick dust to ensure that services are delivered to our people. People that are diligent and industrious. Those are the type of people we wanting to recruit. So our recruitment methodologies also need to change. And I have said that we need to look at profiles of people. You can find these profiles not only on social media, because the social media issue has brought up a whole host of things, but I have people in my office, in the ministry, that I've recruited off social media. So it has its good, it has its bad. But what I have experienced is that I'm able to pick out the best out of those people.
Minister, just to cap it all, seeing that we're out of time, with regard to your decision to reduce the public sector wage bill and the negotiations with unions in this regard, how's that likely to impact?
Well, I have a responsibility to reduce the wage bill. I have a responsibility to bring everybody on board with regards to that. The requests for people to leave early, to leave the system early through early retirement, has been coming without me having gone out to say we're looking at an early retirement package, we're looking at a voluntary severance package or anything to that effect. People have been coming over years to say we would have long left, except that if we do leave, there are penalties that we're going to endure, and we do not want those penalties. People have got other plans. They might be 55, they might have other plans with their pensions. They might be wanting to go and start their own businesses, or just, sit at home and look after their grandchildren, whatever the case is. Where people do want to exit the system must make it possible for them to exit.
Well, Minister, thanks so much for stopping by and explaining some of that to us. Minister of Public Service and Administration, Ayanda Dlodlo, discussing plans to reduce the public sector, a massive wage bill with us there. All right, we're going to go to a break.